How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's doing well. So today's vlog is gonna be a filler series, which means it's a break from my documentation vlog for 2024. So it's gonna runs from 8th of April till 19th of April, and hopefully by the 22nd of April I will come back with a regular programming of just vlogging my 40th year in 2024. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this. Hello, welcome back. So this is the last video for the filler series. I like calling it the filler series because if you don't know, we used to have a lot of TV shows when we were kids. I'm a millennial. I'm an elderly millennial. I'm a 40 years old. So when we have like 20 episodes or 40 episodes Monday to Friday at 7 o'clock, for example, like the Big Bang Theory, you would have filler episodes, meaning like it doesn't really contribute much to the arcs of the storyline of that season. It's just like, things that you fill in so that you can kill time and people can have their expectation met. And now you don't have that. Now you have Netflix where it's either you know that there are going to be 8 episodes or 6 episodes, or everything is out at once so you can binge it. So there's no filler episodes, in a sense, because you don't really have to fulfill that requirement of showing up at 7 o'clock or at 8 o'clock every single weekday night when people got back from home. Anyway, by this stage, I already talked for about 9 hours now. And I'm a bit high, I'm a bit anxious, I am having a lot of experiences. But I think this is a good time to talk about my fears and insecurities. And as of now, I'm 40 years old. I feel like the fears and insecurities now have become so real, and it's become, before it was an imaginary fears and insecurities, but now I feel like it's tangible, it's real, it feels very in the present moment. It's no longer living in my head. It's like real life scenarios where things can happen that way. But in a lot of sense, because as a 40-year-old, I also have gone through a few health crises, a lot of financial crisis, which I probably still am in right now. A lot of being unable to manage my emotional state, and I think this is partially because I'm also autistic, so I don't particularly know what I'm feeling. I remember the day where I was left by myself finally in Australia, no friends, no family, and I had to take a bath 3 times that day, because I just I didn't know what I was going through. I just had the feeling I had to take a bath. But now, 10 years later, I realized like I was having anxiety attack. I was having a panic attack, and I was self comforting myself by taking a warm bath so that I can calm my nerves down that way. But I didn't know what I was going through back then. I didn't have the words or the experiences, even as I was. It was weird because, like, I remember by that time, it was already 10 years after I graduated majoring in psychology. So now, 20 years onwards, I felt like I should have known, right? I should have known that I was having a panic attack, an anxiety attack. I should have learned that in school. But I didn't know, and I didn't even know, like, 1 year or 2 years after that. I think it was only recently that I realized, like, after I realized I'm autistic, like, oh, okay. That experience. Is that experience an anxiety attack? Because that would make sense. So, my fears and insecurities in my 40s are probably very practical. Not having a roof over my head, not having internet is extremely panicking, not having a phone. yeah, and like I think being cold is really important, fears and insecurities, because I realized only up until maybe 4 years ago that a lot of my problems was just because I wasn't putting enough clothes during winter. I wasn't wearing the appropriate winter attires for Sydney, because we have very poor insulation in Sydney when it comes to apartments and houses, because the British, when they first came to Australia, they are more afraid of the heat rather than of the cold. And our cold winter usually have wind coming from the Arctic region, which means that it's really cold. It sends shivers down your bones. Um, so that was one thing I learned. Like, apparently my body is extremely sensitive to cold. It gives me this sense of dread and doom and gloom anticipations of the world. It catastrophizes everything that comes with it if it's infused with cold weather. It's extremely depressive and anxiety inducing, and I don't want to. So it took a lot of time and efforts to figure those things out. So I guess like my fears is that I don't have the safe space to figure these things out, because to be able to figure things out, you need to have a space where you can think, you can feel, you can let go of that feeling, you can process the emotions that you have. I'm afraid of being homeless, I guess, because of that. I'm afraid not having my own space because of that, because it's really hard when you are living with other people to go into a rage mode where you're just crying and you're like ah! And you are just like exercising, like you it would look like you're being exercised, like you having gone through exorcism basically. Like a devil like leaves you, leaves your body. And then you, after that, like you just feel like really light, and then you process that emotion, and that it get integrates into part of your brain that is very primitive and the back there, and then you kind of move on with life, and then you kind of relearn that. And to do that, you need to have your own space. And that's my biggest fears and insecurities. If I ever have right now, that's my in my 40s, because I think it's even bigger than not having money to buy food. Not being able to eat is scary, but because maybe I have experienced it in the past and I'm still here, that fear kind of was experienced in real life. So hopefully it won't happen again. But if it does, I think there was a few lessons that I had learned to kind of trying to get myself through that period. It won't be pretty, but I would get through it somehow. But and also I learned last year from my flatmate that you can go to Aussie Harvest in Waterloo. We went because her friends told her about this place, and apparently they give away free food and free groceries, and you can do that now. So now I know, like, if I'm really really desperate with groceries, I can go there like once a week to get my groceries, and at least I would get about 3 to 4 days worth of groceries. They give you bread also, and they give you some vegetables and a little bit of packs, and just stuff to get you going for a little bit. It's not fancy, it's very basic, but it's practical, and it's food, and it's free, and you don't have to. At least that's one thing off your list to worry about for a day. But yeah, I think that's where I want to have money. I think at 40, for the past 40 years, I think I was a bit ambivalent, wanting money, but also scared of having money, because I don't know, it's just a lot of spiritual baggage, probably a lot of emotional baggage, and a lot of manipulation through financial means in the past from me. And maybe it's past life stuff, you never know. And I was just very icky when it comes to money. I remember when I was in second grade and my mom gave me like $10, like equivalent of today's money, $10 pocket money, and I was like so terrified holding that $10, and then I felt like I have to finish it somehow, so I bought like I don't know what did I buy. I bought like a drink, like a soft drinks, and then it was only cost $1. And then what did I do with the change? I think I tried to give the change to the person who was selling it, like, no, take everything, take everything. I think, like, I remember having that experience still vividly in my brain, and my mom was just so confused, like, why did you do that? Like, back then I thought, like, when I was in second grade, like, mom, you're not on my side. But now I'm thinking, yeah, why did you do that? Like, I would be so weirded out too. But yeah, I think I still have residuals of that playing out even now as being 40 years old. But now I feel like the tangibility of being without a space of my own, like, I think that's the most precious thing in my life. Space. I am extremely protective of it. When it's violated, I get very angry, and I really needed that space to be myself. Like, I'm quite generous when it comes to money. I can be a bit selfless as well. Yeah, I can also be cruel when it comes to dealing with rude people, for sure. But I think in general, I feel like my assessment of myself is not that bad when it comes to giving people financial generosity, even though I don't have much, and helping people out when they need it to. And of course, I do get annoyed with certain personalities that don't match mine, and I voice that with them if it comes to when it comes to it when it comes to a head-on confrontation. But when it comes to space, it's just, I don't know, it just becomes very territorial. And I think at 40 now, I can't, even if I have problems with having money, I will have to get through that issues and whatever emotional block or whatever spiritual blocks that is attached to that. I just have to get through it, because I think not having my own space, not being able to have my own money to get my own space is not okay anymore. Like, it's not okay not to have one. So that's my biggest insecurities and fears. I'm afraid to be homeless. And I'm also afraid. So I kept seeing all these elderlies in my areas where they just still work, like in the 80s, and they sell vegetables sometimes on the street. And it's not like, sometimes they're Asians and sometimes they're not Asian. Sometimes they're like maybe Greek or Europeans. And I don't want to be like, there's nothing wrong with working till your 80s if you really enjoy it and you're capable of doing it and you have your support network, available for you, for sure. But I just don't want to be doing it because I have to. And that's really a fearful thing for me, being extremely old, not having a home for myself, not having control over my life, not having control over who enter my space. And that's extremely terrifying. And I'm scared. I'm really scared that would happen to me. And I know I've got 40 years from here to then, but my past 40 years is not a good history to reflect of how life can be a positive experience. So this fear is amplified now. So yeah, the chances of becoming homeless and destitute at 60, 70, 80 is real, because even with the right start in life, the past 40 years have been quite rough. And I'm afraid it's just gonna go downhill from here on in. I feel like, why am I ending this filler episode into a downer? Why did I do that? I don't know. I did not plan this. I only came to this plan at midday when I first started the first episode of this series. You can see how it how it progressively changed throughout the series. It's like throughout that day for me is like, oh, I need to change that, oh, I need to change the introduction, oh, I need to change this, oh, I need to add that. It's like, yeah. That's what happened when you made 10 videos in one day. You learn so much. But yeah, hopefully my fears and insecurities are going to be unsubstantiated. I hope it just what's going on in my mind is not gonna come true. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have watched all 10 videos from the 8th of April till now, the 19th of April, thank you very much. Hopefully I will see you with our regular programming. If not, I will see you in the next video anyway. Bye bye everyone. Thank you so much.